I'm going to bring up something, Ed, that has absolutely nothing to do with dollars and cents, but it does have everything to do with Joe Madden. One of the things that maddens me, you look at what he has done. He has put the shift on, starting with Mark Teixeira, but now Granderson and all the way down the lineup. We're laden with left-handed power hitters that are just drooling when they go to home plate at Yankee Stadium because of the dimensions of the stadium. And it's a copycat business. Now everyone is putting the shift on the Yankees. I want you to do what you said you were going to do. Every once in a while, to keep the other team honest, you just choke up, you bunt, you put it down third. Okay, you could probably get a double out of it, and then I want to see the camera go to Joe Madden, because every time we hit into the teeth of the shift, they got the close-up of Joe Madden with the smirk on his face, and I'm ready to National League pitchers could bunt. Mark Teixeira, you have to be situational. You just can't we all remember when the home run that was hit by Ibanez in the ALCS. It was a great moment. We were down by 4 runs. Play that inning back. Ichiro hits a 2-run homer, but then with 2 outs, who comes up? Teixeira. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, down by 2, Ed. They put the shift on. What does he do? He falls behind 0-2. He worked out a walk, but with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, down by 2, you're going to hit into the teeth of a shift. He walked, and we know Ibanez hit the home run, and it was a great moment, but wow.
See, I know we talk about defenses and shifts. This is when it makes me nervous. All he has to do is put the ball, as a pitcher, to the third base side and bunt it, and now you've created the tying run. See what Tex decides to do.
The shift you talk about, 3 infielders on the right side, and Miguel Cabrera.
Boy, it would have been a play that, and you can still do it, because all you need is to get Ibanez up. You have to get a base runner somehow, some way.
No balls and 2 strikes. See Cabrera playing where the shortstop normally doesn't, even shade it over toward the bag. Couple of steps into the outfield grass. The 0-2.
Playing him to pull 3 fastballs away. Amazing.
And here we got Paul O'Neill running down the line, the warrior. I don't know. He looks safe to me, John, but I'm a little biased.
Well, my whole foot's on there. His tippy toes are on there.
Got him by a half a step.
Well,
my foot's ahead of his, so that means I beat him.
If you did eke him out, and if you did get him, I could guarantee you that the next picture would be Paul O'Neill slamming a helmet.
I want to say
ground.
that this is the playoff game, and that did happen.
Is that right?
I want to say that this was a playoff game, and it did happen, and I think there was a big thing of him making
that's funny.
a scene with the umpires, and Paul O'Neill is a fire plug. Fire plug. I know you're a Yankee fan, but I apologize.
No, you know what? My question to you is, what do you find harder, to face a lineup like that with guys that are grinding out at-bats, getting your pitch count up, working the count, cutting down on their swings with 2 strikes, or what the Yankees have put together now? They have a bunch of guys that they don't pay attention to batting average, they don't pay attention to on-base percentage, and they look like they're just trying to pull everything. And with the advent of the shift, John, it really just becomes, to me as a fan, it just becomes unbearable to watch.
I know from my pitching style, I pitch to contact. The game now is all about power arms, and you can see batting averages are dipping a little bit, if not a lot, with certain players. Strikeouts are jumping up. ERAs are a lot lower than what they were in the past. For me, the guys that were contact hitters were a bigger threat to me because I pitched to contact. The bigger swingers, to me, I'm not going to sit here and say that they were easier to pitch to, but I know they're looking to drive the ball. So I was able to utilize my game and be more effective to them, as opposed to the guy that might stay inside out and try to take me to opposite field. That didn't work to me because of my style of pitching.
I have to thank you, Chad, because you ran, I don't call it a contest or whatever it was, where you work so hard during the year that in the off season you allow what you call pinch hitters. You have a very, very popular blog to do so. I want to thank you for allowing me to be one of your pinch hitters. So I got a real big charge out of it, and I wrote a column and I called it. Shift in the right direction. I said we're way too left-handed, and I think that Starlin Castro is potentially could be maybe the start of something good where we shift the focus to maybe balance out the attack a little bit. Maybe 3 right-handed bats and 3 switch hitters and 3 lefties, balance it out a little bit, because as I mentioned in the column that you published for me, I mentioned that I thought that we are exploited way too much with the shift, and one kind of stat that I looked at even after I wrote the column, and there's something called BABIP, and I know you know what it is. It's batting average when the ball is put in play. And the Yankees in 2015, out of 30 teams, when they put the ball in play, they were ranked 29th out of 30. Then you say, well, maybe it's a small sample size 1 year. The year before, 2014, 28th out of 30 in BABIP. Attention. And as a matter of fact, we got one more video I want to go over to G14. Mike Francesa is pushing and pushing and pushing, and his name is Brian McCann, and he's the catcher for the Atlanta Braves. And I could see Mike Francesa's point because he's a perennial 20 home run guy, but you know what? I don't want him. Francesa wants him, I don't. Understand the error of your ways. We need to start getting guys that could hit for average more. You get this guy McCann, they're going to start putting that big shift on him. He's not going to get any infield hits as a catcher. Trust me when I tell you. Yeah, he's going to hit his 28 home runs, and he'll have his fun. And we'll have fun with the home run call. With John Sterling, McCann. Yes, he can. And I say, no can do. As a matter of fact. Wow, that goes back to 2013, ladies and gentlemen. That goes back to 2013 when I made those comments. Here's what it is. Get back to what made the dynasty from 96 to 2000. You got to hit for average, on-base percentage, and power, all of the above. This was all, after 2010, it started going downhill for one reason, the shift. We were just talking about Brian McCann. Just 2 nights ago, the Yankees blew a lead. It was a heartbreaking loss. They were winning 6-0. Then the rain delay, okay? And what happened is Toronto scores 12 unanswered. Ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom of the 9th inning, Brian McCann led off. They put this enormous shift on, down 12-6. And you know what he did? He hits a pop-up behind second base, and Josh Donaldson, the third baseman, who's playing behind second base, makes the catch. That does not make sense, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very interesting statistic comparing Giambi. When the Yankees got Giambi in 2002, he went from a 340 hitter, 330, he went to 300 and then 250 the second year. And the second year after we got Giambi at the stadium, the entire league started shifting on him. And we went through that whole contract all the way up until 2008. And I'm like, boy, I can't wait until his contract expires. We get Teixeira. He bats 292 in his first year. And then they put the shift on him, and he drops down to 250. No situational hitting, no hitting to all fields, no bunting at opportune times. And it kind of degenerated from there, from one player, who in my opinion was the poster child, to the entire team. The last 3 years. Now in 2014, the Yankees spent nearly $500 million. They went out and they got Ellsbury, they got Belcher, they got McCann. And since 2014, to me this is a staggering stat. The highest batting average on the team with qualifying at-bats for the batting title. Ellsbury in 2014, 271. Beltran in 2015, 276. Didi Gregorius, 276 in 2016. To me, that's a staggering number. The batting averages are way, way too low. Right. And I think it's, more importantly, I think it's indicative of not so much the players on the field, but it's more indicative of a mindset. And I'll give you an example. This is a stat you're not going to hear anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen. We all love Gary Sanchez. I love him. You're only going to hear this stat here. He batted .299 in the 2 months that he was with the Yankees on average. But
overall, you would say terrific.
Terrific. But in August, he hit .389, and in September, he hit .222. The difference is
that the reason why nobody's dwelling on it is because he had 21 RBIs in August, 21 RBIs in September. The home runs were basically the same. So the power numbers were there, and in Yankee land, that's all, unfortunately, people mad. But what I don't want to see that continue. It looked like, to me, like he was trying a little too hard, to hit home runs. Another thing that I wrote about during spring training was a column that I called Opposites Attract. And anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that one of my pet peeves, if you want to call it that, something that I've been harping on since 2010, is that the Yankees have become too left-handed and too home run oriented. They stacked their lineup with left-handed hitters to take advantage of the short porch in right. And their timing was impeccably bad because of the extreme shifts that became more and more popular, starting in 2010 when Joe Madden put the shift on Teixeira, and then he put the shift on the entire Yankee team, and it's a copycat league, and then before you knew it, the whole league was shifting on the Yankees. And you had a lineup, top to bottom. You had very, very few right-handed batters in the Yankee lineup, going all the way back from 2012 forward. So the timing was impeccably bad. But in a column that I wrote back on March 14th during spring training, I had an optimistic point of view where I noticed something that a lot of the beat writers weren't talking about. And I called it doing the right thing. And what it was that over a 3-game span, 3 consecutive games, during March, the Yankees hit 7 home runs. All 7 home runs were hit by right-handed batters. On Saturday, March 11th, Gary Sanchez, Matt Holliday, and Gleyber Torres all hit home runs. The following day, Austin Romine and Jorge Mateo went deep. Monday, they had a day off. And then on Tuesday, March 14th, Gary Sanchez and Gleyber Torres again. All right-handed batters. 7 Yankee home runs, all by righty batters. And here's the really interesting thing. All 7 home runs were hit to the opposite field. I bet that has never happened in the history of Yankee baseball. And I don't care if it was spring training. Because in spring training, it doesn't count, but it shows where your mindset is. And when did that ever happen? You have a bunch of lefties trying to pull the ball. So in my opinion, this was not by accident. This was not by coincidence. This was by design. This was a monumental shift. And what I'm saying is that after years of seeing expensive batters like Brian McCann, or even whether it was Stephen Drew with his under 200 batting average, batting left-handed, and even the small moves like Gary Jones and Dustin Ackley, who were flawed defensively. You just had a whole bunch of lefties trying to pull the ball. Kelly Johnson, I can go on and on, but savvy Yankee fans know what I'm talking about. But instead, what the Yankees did is they brought in a designated hitter, Matt Holliday, who's a right-handed batter who likes to go to the opposite field. And again, when you talk about things being copycat, I think that guys like Aaron Judge and even Gary Sanchez watched, learned, and started emulating. So I think that's a very good thing. I saw it in March, and I've seen it continue during the regular season. Because here's the cautionary tale I will say. The Yankees, in the postseason, they had a batting average for the entire postseason of .209. Not one player in the postseason hit above .250 batting average. In 13 games, they struck out 139 times. Judge batted .188. Sanchez batted .208. I love the home runs. I love it all. But I get the feeling, and if the camera can come back to me because I'm going to wrap it up, you just can't live and die by the home run. And I almost feel like we're becoming a little bit, too home run centric.